Thank you so much for joining today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing the May Garden Tour, so you'll see what it's looking like in California, Zone 9B, Northern California to be exact. Everything is doing really well right now. We're enjoying the weather, with the warmer weather, because we had a lot of rain this past winter, which is good. I'm sure the plants enjoyed it. So we'll go ahead and get right into it.
You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby. And twist myself at the spine. Welcome to the garden tour, guys. So here is our front bed. We have Mexican primrose that is all around this earth angel rose that I planted up during this past fall. I don't actually recommend this Mexican primrose if you live in an area close to mine or with a similar climate. I'm in California, Northern California, Zone 9B, and it has been a little bit invasive. It is spreading. It spreads through rhizomes, so that hasn't been the best thing, and I've been pulling it. However, it looks really pretty right now, so I will be leaving it this season, and we'll see next season if I change it over to an area that's not on irrigation and see if it stays a bit more contained there because it is beautiful. We have Super Bean a whiteout in the very front, and in front of that, you can't see it right now because it's barely popping up, but I do have some creeping or woolly thyme um, in the peak of the V. And then I also have some Super Junior Royal Velvet that has overwintered from last year. And it's been really nice finding quote unquote annuals that are perennials for me that I'm able to overwinter because they're generally a little bit cheaper than your perennial shrubs. So a lot of the plants that you'll see in this bed are actually clearance plants that I found at big box stores. Um, the super beanas were all clearance plants. That lantana in the middle was not. The royal velvet was a clearance plant. This Dusty Miller, a clearance plant. The Mexican primrose, a clearance plant. And the boxwood hedge that is around the earth angel rose were actually on clearance as well. You can't see them too much right now because the Mexican primrose is, like I said, taking over, but the plan is for those boxwood to grow, and I will ensure um, that they get enough light throughout the season. And again, this bed is full of perennials, so we have a lot of Nepeta. We have two dwarf crepe myrtle shrubs on either side. That's what the darker foliage shrub is. Next to that, on the left-hand side, I have a Supertunia latte. Those are pretty much the only annuals. The rest are perennials for me. So I do have Nepeta Junior Walker's Low. And it does get larger. As you can see, that front one. Some of the others have a gaping hole in the middle because our neighborhood cats love the Nepeta. And it's actually one cat. And it lays in the middle of it. And cat repellent doesn't work. This is the beginning stages of the butterfly bush blooming, and I bought this as a 4-inch container. Can you believe it? And it has grown massively. It's way taller than me. It's definitely a little bit big for this space, but it likes its area. It gets really hot at kind of the middle of the day, all the way till the end of the day. So it's definitely a full sun area. The roses love it. Those are Pope John Paul II roses that are now at a flush. I had just deadheaded them. I have Osteospermum that's overwintered for me. This is Bright Lights Double Moon Glow by Proven Winners. And I love this African daisy. It is so pretty. It really does look like it's glowing, especially next to the Luscious Grape Lantana by Proven Winners. And here's a quick span of the next bed. I called the avocado bed because we have a avocado tree and it's a pretty mature tree. It actually is what sparked my garden journey. When we moved in, it wasn't doing very well. Long story short, that's what got me going to the garden center and what got me really into learning about plants and what does well in what area. Um, just it had me go on a deep dive of research. So I thank my gardening journey to this avocado tree. For the most part, it's doing really well. It always produces avocados, even when it was sad. It basically completely defoliated. Um, the last year, during the summer, during the crazy heat wave we had, and I realized that it essentially just didn't have enough water, poor soil. So I amended everything. We got rid of all the black mulch it had. When we tore that back, I kid you not, the entire area or this entire bed was like the ground was cracking. It was so dry, and all of the roots were to the surface. It was like screaming for water. So now that we've done amended and added, um, have been fertilizing on a regular basis, it's been doing a lot better. The trunk does have some issues, but it's kind of things I can't fix. Um, Whoever planted it didn't train it as a standard tree. So there is stress points on the trunk because they let it go into like a multi-trunk. But with the fruit and just the heaviness, it has some stress points. So I keep my eye on it and hopefully um, it will bounce back, but we'll see. Here are some containers that I put together a couple of months ago. The Super Tunia Royal Velvet has overwintered for me from last year. I popped in some Osteospermum, more African daisy. And then around that, I put trailing ivy. And in the front here, we have some Euphorbia Diamond Frost and some mint in a container. And moving this way, we have a container with Super Tunia Latte, Super Tunia Mini Vista Midnight, and some Diamond Snow Euphorbia. And I like the contrast with the light of the Super Tunia Latte, the dark throat, which mimics the darkness coming from Super Tunia Mini Vista Midnight. And coming around is our front porch, deck area, whatever you want to call it. And I have two rocking chairs, a little table that are holding two terracotta pots with Super Tunia Vista bubblegum. And here is an image of me holding or showing you one of the buds from the avocado tree. They are forming up little avocados, and if you can see, they are everywhere. So that's very exciting. We love avocado, so it is a money saver because avocados are one of the most expensive fruits. We also really enjoy this tree because it casts a lot of privacy. This tree casts a lot of privacy for us, being that the front porch deck is kind of front and center. It provides a lot of shade for us since this area does get a lot of afternoon sun. And here is a crown of thorns. This was gifted to us by my mother-in-law, who also loves to garden. And she has a lot of interesting plants from Mexico, from where she is from. And I love learning about all the plants that are from over there. Here is another view of the container with all of our Supertunias. This one's doing a little bit better. It gets a bit more hours of the afternoon sun versus the other one, the other container on the other side. And around this area, we have a menagerie of things. I have plants that I am holding over in this area, such as all the things in the grow bags. I have some potatoes growing. We have some strawberries in the grow bags. I have a tomato in ground. This is a Sungold cherry tomato. And it's already forming up fruit. And this was early May, so I'm getting this garden tour out to you very late, sorry. I'm a couple weeks late, but I still wanted to get it up so you can see what the garden is looking like in California, my area around this time. And moving on, we have lambs here. I don't think I mentioned that around this entire bed. We have Ibris, or candy tuft is its common name. I have some seedlings that I was hardening off and then totally gave up on. Some of them are still good and I will transplant them. And then I also have some mint, some purple fountain grass that I had overwintered. I just don't know where to plant them, and got them on clearance again. And I've had them since last season. That zonaldrenium was also a clearance plant and has gotten enormous over time. I direct sowed a bunch of white zinnia that I ordered from Johnny Seed, and that will all grow pretty tall and surround the avocado tree. And up front, I have Supertunia Mini Vista Snowdrift. So it'll be a sea of white cut flowers with the roses flanking each side in a terracotta rolled rim pot. Those are Eustacia Vi by David Austin. And the candy tuft I will be cutting back shortly. And it will just be a green mound. So there'll be small little green mounds surrounded by all of the white flowers. And then we'll have the green from the avocado tree. So hopefully it's as pretty as it is in my head. And we also recently put in that gravel pathway. Before it was a bunch of rocks. I found these pavers that are flanking either side. Um, I found these pavers at Home Depot and they were on clearance. And then I leveled it out, applied landscape fabric, and filled it with the peat gravel. And it's been working a lot better than the previous rocks that we had. The other rocks that we had in there are way larger. They're like a river rock. And I just relocated the river rock. It was just really hard to walk on or to get anything through the river rock. It was too big. I always felt like I was gonna break my ankle. But anyways, moving on, we just got this new fence and gate. Or sorry, new fence and gate put in. Um, these doors are not done yet, but the fence part is, and it's so nice having a new fence. It looks so much better. Doesn't matter as many plants as you plant. Um, the beauty definitely was being overshadowed by the previous fence that was in very poor condition. Here I have a tree that was collateral damage. This is a catalpa tree and it was a gift. I got it in like I think a gallon or 2 gallon container, maybe a little bit bigger, but it was tiny when I got it. And this is its third year in the ground, and I expect it to flower, but I don't know if it will now because it got damaged while they were doing the fence. So that's why it's all lopsided. It had its leader cut off, and a whole bunch of other branches were damaged in the process, but it is re-leafing out. And under it, we have a hydrangea, Little Lime, by Proven Winners. And that is all surrounded by Primo Black Pearl Heuchera, which looks so pretty in the early springtime when it was still raining a lot. Um, I don't know, it almost like just made the black pearl so vivid in this spot. Get around the limelight because the limelight will bloom white blooms, and that looks really nice with the dark heuchera. And next to, or moving down the line, we have an orange tree, a lemon tree, and some begonia, surefire begonia that I overwintered, lamium, a gardenia that's always struggling. I have trouble with my gardenias. But our fruit trees are pretty large and in charge. And I'm usually having to keep them in check all the time. So it's about that time that I need to cut some of it back. We have this hibiscus, sumerific, hardy hibiscus, and holy grail. And next to that, there's the Santa Barbara daisy. Sorry for my shadow. And in this bed, we also have a ton of perennials and shrubs and a tree. So starting with the Buddleia butterfly bush. This is in Puxter periwinkle. I love this butterfly bush. I want to say it stays on the smaller side. Hasn't gotten too big. It gets about 3-4 feet tall. And below that we have Supertunia snowdrift. So that'll be pretty, like a sea of white with the lavender, with the cranberry blooms from Holy Grail, and the periwinkle blooms from the butterfly bush. Here is a plant. I actually recently did find the name at a local nursery, but I purchased these at Van Winden's Garden Center in Napa. The pollinators love this plant. And it looks beautiful. It almost looks like it's iridescent or a highlighter during the time that it's blooming. It's so pretty. We have Agastaki, more osteospermum, marguerite daisies. I recently planted this milkweed, so it's not too exciting. And this olive tree that was a stick when it got planted. My mother-in-law also um, gifted us this olive tree. It was a propagation from one of her olive trees at home, and it has grown so much. I want to train the leader to go up higher. It's starting to like lean over, so the trunk itself is straight and then it kind of gets a curve at the top. And we have salvia in this bed, some autumn joy sedum, foxglove. That's bloomed out, but I'm going to let it dry up. So hopefully it will reseed. That is my Queen of Sweden rose. That's still pretty tiny. I just got it in this early winter or late winter, sorry. And down this line, it's a menagerie of things that I didn't know what to do with, and it's in the front of the garden bed, so that wasn't smart. But here is some echinacea. I believe this is the purpurea, just common variety, and this is way taller than what the tag said. So I am waiting to see what happens when it blooms. Behind that, unfortunately, I have lamb's ear. That doesn't make sense because it's a middle back row plant in the front and then a low growing perennial in the back. But we'll see. I want to see things bloom first and then I may move stuff around. And in the very front, which overshadows all the craziness behind it, is the Victoria Blue Salvia. I love this plant. The pollinators love this plant. I recently posted about it on my Instagram. If you're not following me there, definitely do so. I post way more regularly on my Instagram. It's the same exact handle, Harvest Home Haven. Here is an up close shot of a beautiful Rudbeckia. I believe this is the Indian Summer, something along those lines, that variety. And I got those from Morning Sun Herb Garden in Vacaville, California. So it's in the same town that I live in. It's so close to me, which is awful because I buy way too many plants. That's mainly where I got most of my lavender because they sell everything in like 4-inch containers and below. So everything's pretty well priced. I say well priced as in it's not too expensive. And they specialize in selling a lot of things that you can use, like medicinally, or for household purposes, remedies. So they have lots of herbs. They have um, like a lot of echinacea, a lot of calendula, scented geraniums, plants, veggie starts. Like during this time, they have tons of tomatoes. Like I said, all the herbs. They also have a great selection of succulents and awesome perennials. They have a lot of different heuchera, lamia. I just recently got for Mother's Day. My mother-in-law got her some GMs. I don't think she's familiar with GMs, but the blooms were so pretty and she has a lot of shade in her garden. So that was something that I gifted to her, and the ones that were really pretty. They had that Mai Tai variety. I don't know, but it's harder to find in local nurseries, and they had it there. Um, Over here is the other side. I call this the parking lot bed because it's right next to our driveway. And it is doing all right. This bed has a ton of, I don't know, like concrete rocks. It literally is like a layer of concrete, gravel, or paver base that they like dumped in this area. I say they, as in the previous owners, dumped in this area and then covered it with mulch. So it's been a pain to dig out. Essentially, everything closest to the driveway is still under rock, and then from the roses to the right has been dug up. So the roses are doing well. They just bloomed out, and I recently deadheaded them. They are Atlas roses by Proven Winners. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see how beautiful they were with the orange blooms and the purple from the Mexican sage right next to it. In between those, I've planted bush morning glory. This morning glory is not supposed to be invasive. And it has kind of like it reminds me of an olive, like the foliage, the blue silvery foliage, and the blooms are beautiful white and they open and close with the sun. But I learned that they don't transplant well. I bought them last year and I put them in a placeholder area and they stopped blooming. And this year, I would say early spring, they started blooming and they were beautiful. And then I moved them and now they stopped blooming again. So that tells me they don't like to be moved. And we'll see what they look like next year. And the star of the show is definitely this pomegranate tree. I personally love the look of the pomegranate tree. The blooms almost have like, oh, they're so pretty. They look like bells when the fruit is forming. And when the flower is present, I'll show you one right now. They look like tissue paper. Beautiful, vibrant tissue paper. And the foliage is really pretty. The way the branches kind of weep, I like that look. And in the fall time, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. It turns bright yellow. And with the Mexican sage blooming at the same time, it looks so beautiful with purple and yellow. I personally love it. If you follow Janie from Dig Plant Water Repeat, you will know she's not the biggest fan of hers, but I hope she gives it some time because I swear it's worth it to me. And the fruit is delicious. But thank you so much for joining today's garden tour. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I can get them up more regularly. We'll see. But yeah, this is the front garden tour. You have an idea as to what's blooming in California during early mid-May. And I will definitely be back for one next month in June. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby. And twist myself at the spine. some kind of